Welcome to Daily Papers, the podcast where we break down fascinating new research into bite-sized pieces.
Today, we're talking about a topic that's everywhere, artificial intelligence. But we're looking at it from a very specific angle. Can AI actually collaborate with scientists? And not just as a fancy calculator, but as a genuine partner that gives feedback and helps improve their work.
Right, and it's a bigger question than it sounds, because science, at its heart, is all about collaboration. You write a paper, you have an idea, and the first thing you do is show it to a colleague. You ask, what do you think? Does this make sense? What am I missing?
Exactly. That feedback is the secret ingredient. It's how good ideas become great ideas. But here's the problem the paper points out. Access to that feedback is deeply unequal. If you're a top professor at a world-famous university, you're surrounded by people who can give you amazing feedback.
But what if you're an early career researcher, or you're working in a country where English isn't the primary language of science? You might have a brilliant idea, but getting that crucial, timely feedback can be a real struggle. Your work might never reach its full potential.
It's a hidden barrier in the scientific world. So this brings us to today's paper, titled Human-AI Collaboration in Science at Scale, a global, large-scale randomized field experiment. The researchers asked a provocative question: can we use AI to break down that barrier?
And they didn't just think about it. They ran a massive global experiment to find out. It's one of the biggest of its kind. They went to a website called Archive. You can think of it as a huge online bulletin board where scientists post early versions of their papers, called preprints, to share their work quickly.
The researchers looked at over 31,000 of these preprints from 150 different fields. Then they did what's called a randomized field experiment, which is the gold standard for this kind of research. They randomly split all these papers and their authors into two groups.
The first group was the control group. They got nothing. They just went about their business as usual. The second group was the treatment group. The authors of these papers received an email with a private link.
And this link led to a web page with detailed, customized feedback on their paper, all generated by a large language model, or LLM. That's the same kind of AI that powers tools like ChatGPT. The AI feedback wasn't just a grammar check, it was a full review. It commented on the paper's novelty, suggested alternative titles, and gave suggestions for improvement.
So you have two groups. One gets the AI feedback, one doesn't. Now you can see if the feedback actually made a difference. So what happened? Did the scientists just delete the email thinking it was spam?
That's the first big question, and the answer is a clear no. The researchers found that the scientists who received the AI feedback were significantly more likely to revise their papers. They saw a 12.55% increase in revisions compared to the group that got no feedback.
Wow, so that's the first major finding. The feedback was actually useful. People read it, thought about it, and then went back to improve their work based on what the AI said.
And it gets even interesting. The researchers also checked to see if this one-time interaction had any lasting effects. They found that the authors who got the AI feedback were more likely to use LLM tools in their future papers. It's like the experience was so positive it changed their workflow in the long run.
Okay, that's impressive. But here comes what I think is the most exciting part of the entire paper. The effects weren't the same for everyone. The researchers wanted to know who benefited the most from this AI collaborator.
And the results here are so consistent and clear. The biggest boosts in revisions and AI adoption were seen among researchers from non-English dominant regions.
That makes a lot of sense. If English isn't your first language, having an AI that can polish your writing and structure your arguments would be a massive help in communicating your ideas to a global audience.
Exactly. The benefits were also strongest for early career researchers and those with a lower H-index. An H-index is basically a score that measures a scientist's productivity and the impact of their publications. So essentially, less established or less famous scientists benefited more.
So the AI didn't just help the people who were already at the top, it gave the biggest leg up to those who were traditionally at a disadvantage. The paper calls AI a potential collaborative equalizer. It's leveling the playing field.
That's the core takeaway. This AI intervention didn't just make science more efficient, it has the potential to make it more equitable. It's transforming access to scientific feedback from a private advantage for a select few into a widely distributed resource for everyone.
This has huge implications. It could mean that more ideas from a more diverse group of people all over the world can get the polish they need to make a real impact. It could democratize a key part of the scientific process.
Of course, the authors are careful to point out this isn't a magic bullet. They raise important questions for the future. For example, if all scientists start using the same AI tools for feedback, does science risk becoming a bit homogenized, a bit too uniform?
That's a good point. You wouldn't want an AI that gives everyone the same standard advice. The goal is to enhance human creativity, not replace it with a single standardized way of thinking.
For sure, but what this experiment provides is the first large-scale, real-world evidence that AI can be a powerful and positive force in the scientific ecosystem. It shows that AI can step in not just as a tool, but as a helpful collaborator, especially for those who need it most.
So, a huge experiment with tens of thousands of scientists shows that AI feedback helps them improve their work, and most importantly, it gives the biggest boost to those on the outside looking in. It really could be a powerful equalizer for global science.
A pretty amazing first step into the future of human-AI collaboration.
That's all for today's Daily Papers. Join us next time for another look at the research that's shaping our world.